Okay, then, women's football fans, this podcast is for you. In this episode, we talk about Man City's injury crisis. We talk about WSL results, Champions League results in the first legs. We talk about the change of game fixtures, FA Cup and men's matches, the new WSL layout, Hull City, the Lost Lionesses play, and I met a special somebody as well at Man City who needs a shout out. And finally, Serena losing her assistant to the Netherlands. So,
To the Euros.
where do we start?
Man City.
Let's start with Man City versus Everton, a 1-1 draw.
Well, before we talk about the game mostly, I want to give Mary Fowler a big shout out. Because this time last week when we filmed the podcast, we didn't know what was going on. We now know that she's ruptured her ACL.
Yeah, so Mary Fowler has done her ACL. It's going to be out for a very long time.
Unfortunately so.
Yeah, it's not looking good for Man City, is it?
No, I mean, when I did my research for this week's podcast, at that time, 43% of our players were injured. That's
Wow.
15 out of 29, if you include everybody that was injured. That is now only 14
That's more,
injured players.
That's got to be more, surely.
What do you mean?
15 out of 29.
Well,
That's more than 50%.
Anyway, but it's now only actually 14 players who are injured, as Rebecca Kanak made her return to Manchester City today, and she was unreal. Like,
Yeah, she
you
didn't
could
skip a beat.
definitely see what we've been missing in our defence, and I don't think people realised how much of an impact she'd had, but she was unreal today.
What footed is she?
Unreal. What footed is she? Left-footed.
She's left-footed, and that's what all Man City needed.
Yeah.
That's all Man City needed. They just couldn't open up that side of the pitch without a left footer.
No, and I will be honest, I was worried when we saw the team lineup and Charlie was like, Rebecca's starting, and I was like, why is she starting? She's been out for ages. I think she's missed since, bear with. So Rebecca Kanak has been out for a good couple of months, hasn't she? It was in the earlier internationals in the year.
It was before one of the FA Cup games, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. And she is massively being missed. I think as soon as she showed her dominance on that pitch today, and she played 60 minutes, which, to be fair to Nick, I was a bit worried. I was like, is it a good idea? But actually, no, I think he definitely made the right decision.
Like you just said, the dominance. She's one player that can really attack somebody. Like, when the ball's up in the air, she really has that aerial presence. Like, she really dominates in the air. She's really good at winning the ball and playing forward. And as good as Alexandria is at it, you needed somebody on that left side to do it. And yeah, it was really good to see her back. I really like the partnership between her and Gracie as well.
Yeah, it worked well, didn't it?
It's two destroyers, isn't it? Like, two very physical, very like defensively hard players. It was good to see. Really good to see.
No, it was good to have her back. So Rebecca, thanks for coming back. Fingers crossed you stay fit now. Before we talk about goals and things, though, one person I do want to talk about is Yui Hasegawa.
Most underrated player in women's football.
If she or Kerstin Casparij do not get City's Player of the Season, I will be massively shocked. But it was really upsetting at the end of the game. Yui sat down in the middle of the pitch and just burst into tears. Don't know if it's for injury, whether she's just absolutely exhausted because she's played every single game.
It's got to be exhausting.
Yeah, and it was just not nice to see. And when you noticed earlier on in the match, didn't you, that like there was a huddle when somebody had gone down injured, and she just did not join that huddle.
Yeah, I can't remember who went down. I can't remember if it was. I think it might have been the Everton goalkeeper. The Everton goalkeeper went down in like the 30th minute or something like that, and all of the City players and all the Everton players went straight into the huddle to obviously get like the tactical information. Yeah. And Yui was just taking a real long time. Like, she was really slow walking over, and then when every single player got there, she still wasn't there. And by the time she got to the huddle, the ref had blown the whistle and told everyone to get back to position, and she was still walking. And I was just like, I just felt like she looked like she was struggling. I don't know what with. I know that she's taken a couple knocks in the last few games, and has been holding like an ankle or somewhere else. But she just looked exhausted. She looked absolutely shattered because she does everything, doesn't she?
Yeah, she really does.
And
she was dropping in deeper today though, which was quite nice.
Yeah, well, I don't know if anyone else really clocked, and I don't know as well because I think both teams changed formation so much. I was saying to Kirsty the whole game, I can't figure out what formation it is. I felt like Yui and Alexandria were playing as like two holders, like two pivots. But then like I don't know, she ended up playing like up front pretty much for like some parts as well. Because me and Jess were saying it was really nice to see Yui
Yeah.
playing a more of attacking role. But then you said why is Yui in between the centre back? So it's just like I don't know what they were playing. It felt like two pivots, but yeah, she was doing a lot.
She was.
And she always does.
Fingers crossed she's okay. Like, nothing's come out since the post-match press conference, so I'm hoping that's a good sign.
I will say it now. If Yui Hasegawa gets injured and doesn't play the rest of the season, I'm not watching.
So Charlie will be found in the fan zone at Manchester City and at Old Trafford because he doesn't want to watch.
I can't. One of the reasons I wanted to go and watch City in the first place was because of Yui Hasegawa. I am Japan the biggest fan. I just love her. I just think she's so good. She's so underrated. Like
Yeah, she really is.
She really bosses games, and I just feel like she doesn't get any like credit. She only gets credit when like it's obvious, but a lot of the time she does things that just a lot of people don't really see.
Yeah.
It's tough. It's really tough.
Well, if we're talking about injuries, before we talk about Kerstin, because I think Kerstin needs to be spoken about today.
Absolutely.
And the Everton goal, we're not going to rule that out either. We will talk about it. But, so this information that I've got was done a week ago.
Okay.
And it was some stats. So it's now out of 36 games instead of 35 games. And in terms of our injuries, Lauren Hemp has missed 26 out of those 36. Alex Greenwood has missed 20 out of those 36.
Is that in the WSL?
This is in all competitions.
Wow.
Viviana Miedema has missed 17. Bunny Shaw has missed 14. And Jill Rod has missed 7. So that is now factually correct from today's date because I've done it from 36 games now, not
That's
35.
a lot.
Yeah. And people were like, oh, well, you're just blaming your injuries. But actually, it's ridiculous.
It's not just the injuries though. It is the players that are injured. They are huge players for Man City.
Yeah, like we were talking about.
Look at the men. They get one injury in Rodri and they can't do anything.
Well, we were talking about
imagine
it,
your whole
weren't we?
spine gone.
One of the other girls that we know through City, we were having a chat with her afterwards, and she was like, people say that one player can't affect a whole team's performance, and she was like, look, Alex Greenwood, and we were like, yeah, no, actually,
it's not even that. It's literally your best players in your best positions are all injured. Your best striker, your best left winger, your best centre back, like.
And people are like, oh,
it's a joke.
Lily Murphy needs to go on loan next season. Gracie Pryor needs to go on loan next season. No, they don't. Yeah. They need to stay at City because if we end up in a situation like this again next season, I will never know. But one player who is very versatile and does go from defender to winger, something that Aoife Mannion can't do, is Kerstin Casparij. Kerstin Casparij scored today, which was unreal. To be fair, yeah, you said it in the card,
I had a feeling she was going to score. Like, she could have got a brace or even a hat-trick. She was everywhere.
She was on it today, and it was really nice because she did 2 tributes.
Yeah, no, yeah, you're right.
No, during her celebration, they had a shirt for Mary Fowler, which was really cute, and we didn't actually see it because bizarrely they went to the opposite corner, but it turns out it was for the photographer, so it makes sense. And Kerstin also had a trans flag on her wrist, which she kissed as well, as a tribute to the laws that were passed earlier on this week. Say she didn't agree, basically, which I know most people are in the same.
And City did a really nice thing as well. So in the 8th minute, they all started chanting Mary Fowler, didn't they?
Yeah.
I thought that was really nice.
It was really nice. And I just want to mention as well, in the press conference, you won't know this because I've literally just found this out now. In the press conference earlier on, after the match, following the tribute that Kerstin did, Nick was asked if he was in support of it, and he said the whole club, all the players, will stand behind her decision.
Good.
To support that, which is massive.
Yeah, that's great.
Because it is definitely something that needs to be done. Homeguard sisters.
Yeah, this was crazy.
So, and to be fair, our friend that was with us today didn't realise that they were sisters that played for the team, nor did she realise they both had the same name. Sorry, I'm not going to name that person, but you know who you are. It turned out that they assisted One scored and was assisted
Yeah.
by her sister.
So one sister crossed it in and the other sister headed it in. It was
and
mental.
The past 3 games, past 3 goals, sorry, that they have scored between them,
Mad.
they've assisted one another.
It's just mad.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
Yeah. But
you
Everton
said
played
the
well.
twins?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, you can. There's definitely something going on there. They are on the same
Telepathy,
wavelength. Yeah, that's
yeah,
the word I was looking
they know.
for.
But no, we can't write Everton off. I mean, they held us to a draw. They did
Same
play
here.
really well. I apologise to all the Arsenal fans that I mocked earlier on in the season when you drew to them, especially considering we lost to them in December. But they held their own. They did. We were definitely stronger, but Everton did hold their own.
Well, it was annoying because, like I said, I couldn't figure out what formation play. It was like at one point they were a 4-3-3, then they changed to a 4-4-2, and then when they got their goal, they went 4-2-4. So they basically pinned all of your defenders back by sticking 4 attackers up, and that's when they got their goal. But then they never did it again. So they stuck 4 up front, crossed it in, managed to like create enough chaos to then win a header, score the goal, and then they just dropped back into a 4-4-2 and then dropped into a 4-5-1 in the second half, I think. So it was like, I think they just played for the draw, in all honesty. I do think they could have maybe nicked it in the second half, but they didn't look like they wanted it. They dropped and completely dropped behind the ball and just let you guys just do what you do and pass teams.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, obviously we've spoken about Rebecca coming back and it making a massive difference, but we are still missing a number of players.
It's just the midfield, I think. You don't have, like, with
especially
Viv,
if Huey's injured now.
Yeah, but like when you have Viv and Jill, you just know that they're gonna create something. And I do feel like I saw one of our comments on TikTok. Make sure you follow us on TikTok. But someone put Jess Park's just not being herself at the minute, and I was like, I do kind of agree with it, but I do think it's because there's no creative outlet. She has to almost force it a little bit.
Yeah,
and that's not what you want to be. You want, when you're a creative player, it comes to you naturally. You just kind of make things out of nothing. And when your team is constantly looking for you to create something, you do struggle. So I think not having Viv and not having Jill is forcing Jess Park to just have to do more, and it's then making her not look as good. Well, it's difficult. Yeah. It's really difficult.
I love my team, and I am going to be a little bit lost when the season's finished, but I think many other City fans will agree with me in the fact that we just need this season to be over.
Yeah.
We need this season to be done.
Yeah.
We've got Leicester, we've got United. We've got Leicester, we've got United, and then we've got Palace last game of the season, and then that's it. And we've just got to hope to God that none of our international players get injured during the Euros, because that would be horrendous. But I genuinely, and I said it last week as well, believe that we have got the squad, when everybody's back from injury, minus Mary Fowler, to actually compete with the likes of Arsenal and Chelsea successfully, and go back to what we were last season, where we literally only lost out on goal difference.
Yeah.
So hopefully it won't be all 29, will it? But we'll have 28 players fit and ready when we come back. And one person that I did think it was absolutely mental that she's in the squad, but I feel like it does need to be mentioned. We actually now have Rico Lewis's little sister.
Yeah, is it Sasha?
I think it's Sasha, yeah. And she was warming up today as well.
Only problem is she's another defender.
Yeah, defenders are not an area we are struggling in. But I think it's mental that she is on the team. And to be fair, I'll take a draw. If I have to take a draw, I will, because other teams haven't done so well in WSL.
I just want to put a plea out to Man City fans. I know you lot don't really like me. Because I'm an Arsenal fan. I know a few of you turn off.
Yeah, we've had this.
I know a few of you turn off when you hear me talk about Man City. However, one positive I can give you is that with your players that are playing at the minute, like Lily Murphy and Gracie Pryor, and these players that won't necessarily play every single minute when you've got a full team, once your other players come back, you'll have a really strong foundation. Because someone like Lily Murphy at the start of the season when she's playing, she doesn't look like she's ready to play. Yeah, she'll have little glimpses, but now she looks like a proper unreal WSL player. Like, she gets the ball when she now can beat players. She's got that confidence of like cutting inside and playing passes and taking shots and crossing, where at the start of the season she was like, because she's got Viv and Jill and Bunny in front of her, she's not going to try a lot because they're probably going to have a go at her for losing the ball. Whereas
Yeah.
now she looks so confident. And like Gracie Pride, like not many people can get past her. She looks unreal.
She was today.
Next season, when all these other players come back, she's going to be knocking on the door saying, look, I played all these games last season. Look at Kiara. Kiara didn't play much.
Yeah.
Played pretty much every game last season. Now City fans are going, let's play Kiara instead of Yama. Like, there's a really, really positive thing going on next season, I think, in my opinion. So you're welcome, City fans.
Can we please clip that? Can somebody please clip that? Because I know in the AI stuff and everything else, Charlie will be like, no, I'm not clipping that. But I want to remind you of that next season, because not everybody will be able to be good enough to compete against us, I don't believe.
I just think you'll have a really strong foundation. I think that's...
I hope so. I really
That's
hope
the
so.
positive you get from injuries, I think, is it allows players to come through. And because you've got so many, it allows a lot of players to come through. So, yeah, I think it'll be good.
I agree. Right. Some things that aren't good are some of the other scores in the WSL this weekend. See what I did there?
It depends.
So Arsenal, obviously, they played their game earlier on in the week and beat Leicester 5-1.
Yeah, we
Don't get too smug
Yeah, we
just
did.
yet, sunshine. Obviously, West Ham drew with United yesterday. United dropped points, so that could have been a great time for me personally, for my team to jump on that and win today, but obviously we drew as well. Brighton lost to Liverpool 2-1.
Yeah,
Didn't
Liverpool
see that
are no
coming.
joke.
And the result I think you're most happy with this weekend is Tottenham lost to Villa 3-2.
Villa won a game. Villa.
Which
shocking.
does now mean that they are well out of the relegation zone. And unfortunately, it does mean that Crystal Palace will be getting relegated at this moment in time, unless something goes crazily wrong elsewhere.
But I start of the season, I put Villa like 5th, I think.
Really?
Or maybe even higher. Yeah, because they were making really good signings.
Yeah.
The problem was they were making too many signings and didn't have the manager to do it. So, yeah.
I agree.
I thought they were going to do really well, but it turns out they weren't. It was Brighton that were going to do better.
It's going to be sad on the last game of the season, because we have actually got Palace at home, and it will be horrible seeing them get relegated, but
it's football.
Out of our hands. Do you know who else has had a really shocking result this weekend, though?
Go on.
Arsenal. And,
do you think?
Chelsea. Sorry, do you want to elaborate?
Yeah, I do, actually. Yeah, a lot of Arsenal fans and a lot of people in general are like really kind of hammering us that we lost to Lyon. And like, I don't want to be that person like, oh, you know nothing, but like
Arteta.
What? But like, Lyon are one of the best teams, women's teams in the world. Like, I'm pretty sure like, I think 5 seasons in a row or something, they won the Champions League.
Yeah.
Very similar to like Barca. It's then on and off. It's basically them two teams. So like for Arsenal fans to kind of, or anyone to be like, oh, you lost to Lyon 2-1. It's like, I'll take a 2-1 because they could have absolutely destroyed us.
Do you think you can redeem yourself in the second?
I mean, anything's possible.
I mean, look at us.
It needs like I've said to, obviously big up Mia, but like I've said to Mia as well, like it needs to be a structural change, because if we put our fullbacks forward, their front three, don't quote me on this, but might be the most dangerous front three in football right now. Obviously, Barca's is very strong without Salma, whatever her name is, because I just don't rate her. But that Payor for Barca, by the way. But yeah, Lyon's front three is a joke. Like, I don't think people understand how good it is. Like, I always bang on about Diani. I think she's one of the best players. She's just so clinical. Like, she runs in one direction, but you just can't do anything, because as soon as you get near her, she'll shove you out of the way and she'll just cut straight around. Oh, mate, she's so good. So yeah, I don't know. I really don't know. I think it depends. It depends how far Katie McCabe and Emily Fox go up. If they go up and they exploit the space again, I think we could probably lose 3-0.
I'll be honest, yesterday was the first time, I think, since she's taken over as manager and interim, Renee looked stressed. I don't think I've seen her on the sideline look that stressed and uncomfortable.
But do you know what I think she did? I think she went for experience over form. Like, I think she went.
I can agree with that.
I think she went like. Don't get me wrong. All the Arsenal players are well deserving to start and to be there, but to play Frida and Kim Little like next to each other, like it's worked in other games, but I just didn't see it. It needed Kyra Cooney Cross. It needed energy, and like it needed Beth Mead to maybe go a little bit more central and have Chloe Kelly out wide or something. Like obviously I don't know, but like something. I just think energy was the one. I don't think going for experience really worked in that one. Like Cara Cooney-Cross playing as like a holding midfielder there can just win in that kind of Declan Rice role of just winning everything and breaking everything up and playing. I think she would have been better. I don't know.
Anybody
To
who
be honest with you, Kirsty, I don't know. But at the end of the day, I will. If Lyon beat us, and I really do believe they'll beat us 3-0, I will take it because Lyon are a very, very good team. They are no joke. Like it's like Barca. They're just they're too good of teams because they've got such a strong 11, and because they play lesser opposition week in week out, they're allowed to rest players and they're allowed to really like breed these young amazingly talented players, so they do get away with it. Like, well, I know we're going to go on to it now, but like the Barca and Chelsea game, Barca looked so fresh. They looked like they hadn't played in like 4 weeks, and Chelsea looked exhausted.
I was just going to say, anybody that wasn't in our TikTok live
Also,
yesterday
Arsenal
either.
looked tired.
Yeah, they did. Anybody that wasn't in our TikTok live yesterday, where I was with Mia, but also Charlie, I've not seen him get that animated over a football match for a long time.
Yeah, it was just basics we were really struggling with, like just overhitting passes so often and like playing really slow passes to try and like shift the opposition. It was just really sloppy and really basic. And we were laughing at about 30 minutes, weren't we? Because Arsenal had a corner and it panned to Leah Williamson, and she genuinely looked like she'd just finished a marathon. Like,
she was like,
she looked exhausted. Like it was 30 minutes in, and all she'd done is like receive the ball.
I don't even think it was that. I think it was about 20 minutes in, because me and Mia were like, why is she tired at 19 minutes?
But she wasn't really tracking anybody either. She was just like playing the ball forward. She just looked exhausted.
Do you know who didn't look exhausted though?
Go on.
Barcelona.
No, they really didn't. They looked fresh.
Yeah, for anybody who doesn't know, Barcelona beat Chelsea 4-1 today in their first leg of Champions League matches. We didn't actually start watching until about 20 minutes in because we were on the way back from City. But just before we started watching, Alexis Putellas missed the penalty,
which apparently was a bit controversial.
Yeah, so
no
apparently,
one on the field called it. It was VAR.
Yeah, it was a handball supposedly. But then they scored their first. Barca scored their first goal in the 35th minute, and then Ramirez got booked.
Hey,
and according to the TNT commentators, no disrespect to TNT, but they were very biased by the end.
Yeah, but you could,
in terms of who they were kind of backing. And
can we talk about this?
Yeah,
the officiating in both of these games has been awful.
Horrendous.
And don't get me wrong, even the penalty for Arsenal is not a penalty. Like, that is ridiculous. But some of the like decisions made, awful. Like that.
Not great.
And then like the Diani goal where like it's literally someone's elbows playing her onside. Like, yeah, fair play, keep that going. But like just some of the fouls didn't make any sense. And like, yeah, I'm going to be slightly biased, but then going into today's game, it was like Lucy Bronze was getting absolutely smashed down that side.
Yeah, she was.
And like at the end, she had to dive to like get a foul at one point. It's ridiculous.
To be fair, when they interviewed her afterwards, she did say that the standard of it, I think she was referring to the officiating, the standard of it was played more to the way the Spanish play football rather than the football that's played in England, was her wording.
Right,
and
so I'm assuming it's less
experience.
Physical.
She's got experience, obviously, playing for both in the WSL and at Barca.
Okay.
So that was how she referred to it. And to be fair, there probably were a few more incidents where I feel like more yellows should have been given out, but they weren't.
So in terms of like the Spanish game, then is it less physical as the English game? I'm asking. From
when I watched last season, I wouldn't say it's any different, but I mean,
but it must be because Lucy said it is.
Well, yeah, but I'm obviously not playing it, so it's down to what she.
No, but that's what I mean though. Like, so you've got Lucy Bronze is saying that it's officiated towards a Spanish game.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming it's less physical because that would then explain why they had such a problem with it last season or the year before when Bon Mati was literally like crying her eyes out all game.
every season.
It would no against Chelsea more specifically.
No, it was last
But
season.
yeah, so it must be that like the game over here is very physical, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that must be it. And to be honest, if you play Barca, you are going to kick them and shove them around, like if they're not used to it.
No, I agree. And I mean, the second goal for Barca didn't actually come until the 70th minute. It was Pina that scored it.
And that was it then, wasn't it? They was done.
But then 4 minutes after, Sandy Baltimore scored, and that was a banger, to be fair. We were sat putting cards in our WSL trading binders, and we were like, wait, hold on, rewind.
Mate, she's got an absolute rocket of a left foot, because she hit like 3 or 4 before, didn't she? Because I remember saying to you, like, watch this.
Yeah.
Like, she whacked it from outside the box. It was about between 30 and 20 yards out. She hits it, and it like whacks one of the Barca players, and you could hear the impact. And I was like, oh my god, didn't realise she could whack a ball like that, because that goal,
it was
absolutely smashed it across the floor.
And I mean, when it got to 2-1, we were like, oh no, like Chelsea could be back in the game.
Yeah, and they were trying to slow the game down.
They really were, and then Barca scored again in the 82nd minute, and then they scored in the 90th minute. So by that time, it was like, no, there's no redeeming yourselves here. But I do want to give Chelsea credit where credit's due. Like, Barcelona are a difficult team to play up against, and not everybody can beat Barcelona, I'm just saying, this season.
You and Real Madrid, that's it.
But yeah, we're the only ones that have beaten Barca this season, which is great. And we're also, up until today, we're the only team that have beaten Chelsea. So, you know.
I wonder as well, when the last time a team beat Barca and Barca didn't score, because it was 2-0, wasn't it? I wonder what that is, because I bet that's a long time ago.
Well, the commentators at the end of the match as well said that this is the biggest loss that Chelsea have had.
Of course.
In 17 months.
Wow.
Because even we only beat them 2-0. So this is the biggest loss they've had in 17 months, which is mental. But you could see, if anybody's not seen it, there's a clip on TikTok that's going around of Lucy at full time, and you can see how passionate she is and how frustrated she is in that moment, because she's kind of like in the team talk and she's like shouting and pointing, but you are going to be passionate. And I can imagine as a team like Chelsea, who are so used to winning and not necessarily, and this is me saying this as a City fan, and you as an Arsenal fan here will probably agree, they're not playing up to teams that can compete against them to the standard that Barcelona could today. I think that the type of football, and if you look at Chelsea's squad and you look at Barcelona's squad, in comparison to each other, they've probably got a closer quality of squad than any other teams they've come up against to this point.
Yeah, but it just goes back to what I said though, of like they're in a very fortunate position where
they are.
They can rotate their squad so much because they are playing lesser oppositions. Like Man U v West Ham, for example, if you look at the league places, if you compare that to the Spanish league and how they play, I guarantee you Barca playing a team in West Ham's position, they'll change like 5 or 6 players, and they'll probably put like a 17-year-old or an 18-year-old in, and that's why Barca and these kind of clubs always end up with really talented young players, because they're afforded the opportunity to play these players in their matches, so they get a lot of minutes really quickly. So it's tough. Like the only way that happens in the WSL is with Man City, who get injuries. That's the only way. It's not like a really nice opportunity. It's like, we need you to play now. You're gonna have to play. Where Barca, it's like, right, we're playing this team that are in 10th today. We're gonna play 2 of our 18-year-old centre mids, and like that's a completely different thing. You're allowed. You're literally resting Bonmati, Patella, Payot, and like Pina, and these are like unreal Champions League players. It's a completely different thing. It's hard.
I agree.
It's really tough.
Anything could change. Like, obviously you guys play away next weekend, in the second leg of yours, and Chelsea are at the Bridge, so anything could change. And
I mean, it'll
be interesting to see where they're at in like who comes out the top dog from both games to make it to the final. And it just so happens to be that we'll be discussing it next week.
I think the best thing for Chelsea is they're going to play at home.
Yeah.
They're going to beat Stamford Bridge.
Well, look what they did to us at
That's
Stamford
what
Bridge.
I was just going to say, yeah. You know, they've already done it. They're going to be up for it. Chelsea are going to make it so horrible for Barca. Chelsea are going to properly beat them up. The fans are going to be really onto them. Like, it's gonna be tough for Barca. Like, they're gonna, like Chelsea did. They're gonna jump straight off the plane. They're probably gonna play at like a later time.
I mean, we beat them at home as well, didn't we? So
it's gonna be tough. They do have to go and score 3-4 goals against arguably the best team in the world.
I mean, the managed to do it against us,
but it's gonna be.
I mean,
it'll be a game.
Be the best team winning.
I think Chelsea will win that leg. I just don't think they'll go through.
Yeah.
Whereas
it'll be interesting to see what happens.
I do worry that Lyon will beat us up.
So if Charlie decides to cancel the podcast next weekend, we know why, guys. We know why. In terms of talking about games and fixtures, though, something massive has happened this week, actually. So obviously, Man United women play Chelsea women in the FA Cup final.
They do.
Right. And the men's game was Man United men were supposed to play Chelsea as well in the Premier League that weekend. And so that there isn't a clash, the Premier League have actually decided to change the fixture to accommodate for the women's FA Cup final.
Good, because it didn't last season.
So it will go from being on Sunday the 18th of May to the men's game now being on Friday the 16th of May.
Oh, Friday.
So it's a Friday night, but I think it's massive that for the first time in English history, the men's game has actually been moved to accommodate for the women.
It's great.
Because the thing is as well, Man United play Chelsea at home in the Prem. So you've got to think, if there were any fans, and I know some people have been like, well, they don't support both, but we've got quite a lot of friends who do support either both Chelsea men and women, United men and women. And I know that there was a lot of kind of controversy last season because the men's fans that are also women's fans had to pick and choose between whether they went to the FA Cup final or whether they went to the men's game. So this really does accommodate this time for that, because if you've got Man United fans, they're not going to have to travel all the way down to Wembley and then rush back up to
Where
Manchester.
is the game, the men's game?
Men's one, it's at United.
Oh, no, that is far, to be fair.
It is still far, but...
It's far for Man U fans. Them and Chelsea fans will be travelling from London all the way up. Oof.
Wow.
That's what I was going to say. If it was in London on a Friday night, that's all right, because most of the Man U fans live in London.
You went there. I'm not taking any backlash from that. It is on your head. Talking of backlash.
You only live around the
Getting
corner.
good at these segues tonight. I am on a roll. Let us know in the comments if you agree. Looking at the new proposed layout for the WSL. Now, you don't know the ins and outs of this. There's quite a few options. So, they're looking at doing a similar model to the NWSL, where there are playoffs to decide the title. Okay? So, at the moment, obviously, the team that ends the league at the top of the table wins the season.
Which is the way it should be.
But the new idea is that after the regular season, the top 4 teams go into playoffs. There's 2 semi-finals, and then it's decided in the final who wins the league, right? So this is how it's done, not only in the NWSL, but it's also how it's done in France. Would it make it more exciting at the end of the season? So there's not Arsenal, United,
it would.
even like lower end of the table, Villa fans that are like, oh, well, but it's pointless because Chelsea have won it anyway.
Yeah.
I feel like it'd bring not only more publicity to it, because there's the whole build-up of like, oh, wow, there's another semi-final and it's not determined who's going to win. I know as a City fan, I'm all for it.
All right, let me Let me say this then, right? So let's say they do this next season. And let's say City get all their players back, go unbeaten the whole season, beat every single team, lose in the semi-final, don't get the title. What's the point? What's the point of winning?
Because it stops teams like Chelsea winning it
every
year.
At the minute it does. But what if you have a really good season next season?
Well, it won't be next season that this happens.
No, I know, but let's just say it is.
Let's have one season.
Let's just say it is, though. How fuming. I'd be fuming. If Chelsea have won for like the past 5 years or whatever, next season your team starts doing really well, Chelsea start dropping off and they're like 3rd and 4th, and then they win it anyway because of a playoff, I would be livid.
There is also, on top of winning the WSL from that it's being proposed that there will be a one-off match between the winner of the WSL and the winner of the NWSL.
Just do that anyway.
And the location would switch between England and the US. So one year it'd be in England, the following year it'd be in the US.
Just do that anyway.
Versa,
You don't have to
right?
have a playoff for that.
And it would bring back, well, it'd just be a one-off game, right? It wouldn't be a playoff. It'd just be a one-off match.
It'd be like the Community Shield.
Every season. Yeah, basically. And the idea behind that is that it'll bring more attention to both leagues without adding too many extra games to it. So you'd obviously bring NWSL fans over to watch the WSL team play and vice versa. Because it's actually only one extra match.
But it is adding extra matches.
No, that's still a let me be clear. This is a separate proposal to the playoffs.
Oh, right, okay.
Okay, these are all just ideas that are being put forward to the WSL. And I mean,
I like that. They should do it for all
that
leagues.
idea because if Man City were supposed to get Angel City, for example, so I can see one person who I don't get to see anymore, it would be great. But it'd only be great if it was played in England for the first year.
They should do it. They should do that anyway. They should change who the league is every. They do it in men's. They do like an MLS All-Star. They do all the best players in the MLS, in the American Men's League. They play in one team and they go and like tour around the different teams. So like Arsenal normally play the MLS All-Stars. They should do something like that. Like they just play the winner of a different league every season.
So you're all for that idea, yeah?
I like that one. The other one is stupid.
Well, if you don't like the title playoffs one, you're not going to like the next one.
Oh, God, here we go.
Okay, don't read this over my shoulder. Okay, I want to see your reaction. So, the other idea, okay, and depending on how this is done, could mean that there is 5 to 10 extra games. Okay. Which in an already injury crisis to WSL might not be the best idea. But there is the idea of splitting the league mid-season, right? So after every team has played each other at home and away, the WSL would be split in half, right? You'd have the top half of the table in one mini-league, and you would have the bottom half of the table in another league.
For what?
Extra games.
No, but
make it fairer on the bottom end of the table. Supposedly, this is what I found on Twitter, or X, whatever you're supposed to call it now. It's supposed to be that it makes it a little bit more fair for the bottom end of the table.
What? So who will they play?
And I think this comes hand in hand with the whole no relegation thing as well.
So who?
But it would have to be temporary if that is the case, because.
I'm trying to ask a question.
Sorry.
So who would the bottom half play? Just each other?
Yeah.
So what if Chelsea have a really bad season next season, end up in the bottom half?
And they end up in the bottom half, and they have to try and redeem themselves.
Ideas are. I'm sorry, these
ideas. I'm just saying, these ideas are not my ideas. These have come from the FA.
I'm going to go at you. Would these ideas happen if Chelsea didn't win 6 seasons in a row?
God knows.
They wouldn't. You don't need.
I don't know.
You don't.
They're just wanting to grow the game, I think.
Yeah, but that's not going to grow the game.
But then there's also the other thing of the no relegation, and they now have said that the no relegation from the WSL or Championship would only be for a season. And the FA are open to short-term trial of this, but are not in favour of a permanent closed league. So it wouldn't end up being like the NWSL, where it's a closed league and nobody gets relegated.
No, they need relegation. That's what makes it good. What they need to do is send one team down and 3 up, and do that for like 2 or 3 do that for 2 seasons, grow the league a bit more, and then look at maybe doing 3 down, 3 up, or something like that. Like. They just need more teams in the top league.
Well, for any
and give them the funding to be professional teams.
Well, yeah, that would help.
Oh, God.
These proposals can only go ahead if at least 8 of the 12 clubs vote for it, right? And the vote will take place in June. But even though it's not the FA that actually run the WSL anymore, remember it changed hands.
Yeah.
The FA does have something called a golden share, which means that they can block major changes from happening if they do think that it will hurt the game. So, correcting myself from earlier, it's the WPLL who now run the leagues that have come up with these proposals and have presented them to the FA. But if the FA think, no way, if the clubs all do vote in favour of these changes, if the FA think, well, this is going to be absolutely pointless and it's going to ruin the game, and he'll say something else, then they can block it and say, well, your vote's irrelevant now, we're not going to do it anyway.
I've got a question for you.
Oh dear. Go on.
What do you think grew the women's football game? To the point of where it's at now, what grew it?
Relegation.
What factor
Oh,
grew
what
the game?
factor? Funding, support, players.
Lionesses winning. Lionesses have
Yeah, I
got
didn't think of that.
the Lionesses have got nothing to do with the WSL.
No, they don't.
So if they want to grow the game, they need to. The FA need to do more for the Lionesses. Changing all these things in the leagues is not going to make an impact because all it's going to do is get people speaking about it.
Yeah, no,
like
I get you.
they need to properly sort the league. There's no point doing these like one-off things that happen. They need to make it as professional and a professional structure as possible. That's why I say about 3 down 1, like 1 down 3 up. It gives more teams a chance. But the problem is if you go and split half the league and like all this rubbish, you're just watering down the professionalism. A team at the bottom of the league aren't going to want to be in that half. They're just going to want to play the games. You want to play the best teams. You're not going to get any like good players. All that's going to happen is all the best players from the bottom half of the league are just going to end up going to the top, and you're just going to end up with the really, really bad teams stuck in this bottom half of the league and all the best players going up the top. So no one's going to watch the bottom half of the league. The growth is from the Lionesses.
I can't imagine that there will be a lot of teams that vote in favour of it because I do think, especially the splitting of the league, it's ridiculous. And you think with the injuries that we've got, not just City, I mean like in general, with all the injuries at the moment, normally coming after this international break that takes place in April, then why would you want to put pressure on them of playing 5-10 more games? And especially for teams that are qualifying. Games. I mean, you could. They stopped the April one in the men's.
That's where the growth came from. This is what I'm saying.
But would the Lionesses have been as successful as they are without Serena and her right-hand man? See what I did there? It has come out this week.
That's a really good one.
That was really good for me. You wait for the next one.
I'm a big fan of that.
It has come out that Serena will be losing her assistant.
Yeah, the bald man whose name I never remember.
Well, that's
I never remember his name.
I've got to put him on. But he is clearly very, very good at what he does because he has been taken to be the new Netherlands manager.
I mean, he is Dutch.
Arjan.
That's it. I'll forget that in 5 minutes.
He will depart following the Euros in the summer, and he will take on the role as the Netherlands women's head coach.
Good luck to him.
Now, he is obviously a very valued member of Serena's team. So his main focus is getting through the Nations League and the Euros, and then he will kind of think about his next steps. But it'll be interesting to see who she'll get in as an assistant.
Jill Scott. Steph Horton.
Oh, don't.
No, I don't think they get on that well, do they?
I don't know.
I can't remember.
But I think it'd be interesting to see who she brings in alongside her if she is kept as Lionesses manager.
It'll be some unknown person, probably.
Yeah, but good luck to him. And it came out beginning of the week, just after we'd filmed the other podcast. So I'm quite glad we've actually remembered to put it in.
I hope he does well.
Do you know what might happen, though?
What?
I'm really hoping that you don't see where this is going. Do you know what might happen when he leaves?
What might happen when he leaves?
The Lionesses might become Lost Lionesses.
Bad. That was bad.
They're getting worse. Where have we been earlier this week, Charlie?
We've been to Bedford.
We have.
We've been to the Place, which is a playhouse in Bedford, to watch the one and only The Lionesses, the show.
The Lost Lionesses.
About the Lost Lionesses.
So, I don't know how much we can say without spoiling it, so we're not going to say too much. But we did promise Nicole and Danny that we would mention you guys on the podcast because we had the best time.
Just give it a quick premise.
So basically, it's all about the Lioness team that went... He's making it worse now. I hope all his dad jokes are making everybody laugh because they're not making me laugh at this point. But it's based around the Lioness team that went out to Mexico in 1971.
I was going to say, it's right behind my head.
It's right behind your head. And basically, they were unofficially England.
Why though? What was going on in women's football?
Well, there was the ban, wasn't
big
there?
ban.
And people didn't think that women should play football, which is ridiculous. But anyway, and Nicole, who is the incredible writer of it, and I totally understand why it's won awards. Her auntie was actually one of those Lost Lionesses, so she's been able to tell the story of what her auntie went through, and it is literally an emotional roller coaster, isn't it?
Oh, it's incredible.
Like, one minute you're giggling, the next minute you want to cry because you're just thinking how horrible it must have been for them to be in that position. And I want to big up the actresses.
Amazing.
And the actor who played Harry Bat. We have followed them on our Instagram, so when we clip this, we will tag you all in it so you can see it, and you can all go over and check out their Instagrams. But the way they portrayed it and the way they portrayed their characters was just amazing.
Yeah, genuinely.
And you wouldn't think so. I know this show had a run in London last year, and we unfortunately couldn't go because it was too far, and we were lucky enough to be able to go this time. But you wouldn't be able to believe that there'd been such a big gap between the first run of the show and this one. And I really do think that it is a show that so many people need to check out when it does its next run, because there's things that we learn about women's football and the situation that they were in during that World Cup that we'd love other people to also know.
Honestly, it's amazing.
Like, everything is like an Easter egg.
Yeah.
Because
genuinely.
The cards, it's downstairs, but the cards, the tickets, Charlie, you might have to work out how to put it somewhere. The tickets were based off the original tickets from the tournament, and they had so much memorabilia stuff, which we were really lucky, actually, that we got to stay behind with the actors and Nicole and Danny afterwards, and another special guest, which we would say we'd mention. And she got all the memorabilia out for us, and it was just mental, like the story behind it all. And you made a new best friend, didn't you? Do you want to tell everybody about him? And thank you, Danny, for making a point of going and asking him if Charlie could have a picture, because Charlie would have regretted it if he didn't, because Charlie was too scared to go over.
Yeah, so Guillaume Balaguer was there, and he's a really great man.
Who is he for anybody that doesn't know?
He's a Spanish football journalist. If you've ever watched anything to do with Spanish football, especially like La Liga on like ITV or anything like that, he's probably the guy that you're listening to talk and being like, oh my god, his voice is amazing. Yeah, I love him. Like, he's just I just love
keeping it cool. Yeah,
I can't. I just love the way he speaks about football. Like, yeah.
I mean, you stood with him for a good 10 minutes with him and his hot cross bun.
We were having such a good conversation just about football and about women's football in general. So yeah, I met him. He was great. He was invited down there because he owns Biggleswade, which is a team down in Bedford, and one of the Lost Lionesses that was in the team actually coaches there as well. I think she coaches like the under-8s, Leah. So she was there, and that's why he was there. He was invited down to do like some content stuff, and yeah, it was just really good to have a chat with him. If you are in that area, like, even if you just go on their Instagram or go on their TikTok, just give it a follow and just try and find out when their show is and where it's going to be, because if you're into women's football and you are like genuinely passionate about it, you need to go and see it, because it will really like light a fire in your passion about women's football, because you'll just be like, I can't believe something like this happened.
It was horrendous.
And something like this was allowed to happen and still doesn't have the recognition that it deserves. So yeah, we definitely recommend you go and watch it, because it's a really great show. Like, it's an amazing show.
It is.
But when you add like the history and the actual stories around it into that show as well, it just makes it an incredible package. They've done so well.
Nicole has done an incredible job writing it, and I know that Danny and we didn't meet David on the night, but Danny and David have done an amazing job at helping her bring it to life as well, along with all the actresses and the actor that played Harry Bat as well. So it is unreal. And I know, unfortunately, the last show was actually last night, the one in Bedford, but they are hoping that they can show it again. So get yourselves over to follow their socials.
And spam their messages saying I want to see it live.
Yeah, and then hopefully they'll do another lot. But no, I think the plan is to do it anyway. And we also got to mingle with another content creator while we were there as well.
One of the goats.
One of the goats. To the fact that I actually opened my conversation with her as, "Oh my God, I saw you in Newcastle at the Lionesses Fowdy thing, and I got really scared and didn't want to come over and talk to you." And she was like, "Yeah, you could have. It's fine." But no, we were very lucky. We got to spend some time with the actresses and Danny and Nicole, but we also got to spend some time with Nancy Baker.
She's a legend.
She is. She's so lovely. And she kind of gave us an insight into what it's like as a content creator as well, on a big scale as well. So she did actually suggest that we spoke about the Lost Lionesses on our Instagram earlier. So we said we'd give her a shout out as well. But no, it's definitely worth going and watching, especially if you're passionate about women's football. But even if you're not kind of interested in football or you don't like football, I'd still recommend going and watching it, because the way Nicole described it to us was actually perfect, wasn't it? She said there's things in there if you're not a football fan but you love theatre, but then there's also if you love football but don't like theatre, there's something in there for you as well. So get yourselves over there, check out their Instagram, go and check Charlie's friend's Instagram. Is it on his Instagram? Yeah, he's put it on his Instagram and his YouTube.
Yeah.
Go check out his.
What, the one of us? The one of us is on the YouTube where I'm waving. I'm in the vlog.
Charlie clocked him filming, and I'm like, right, well, we won't film anything while we're in here because we want to like just keep it cool. And Charlie just looks over and goes,
the camera's full. Hey.
So if you want to see Charlie just waving at him,
it's at the end. It's like 13 minutes 48 seconds, something like that. Crazy. I don't know. I don't remember.
Yeah, not like Charlie's watched it 17,000 times. But thank you, Lost Lionesses, for having us as well. It was lovely to be able to mingle with you all afterwards and actually meet people in person, because it's really nice when you network with people, but when you've not actually met them in person, it's really nice to encounter that. Shall we finish on the topic of another little legend?
Let's do that.
Shall we?
Let's do
so that. If you follow our Instagram, you will know that Charlie has got a little bestie at City. Who is it?
Poppy. She's a massive Man City sport. If you follow like Man City women, you'll see this little legend all over their social media at the minute.
Exciting.
Yeah, she's class.
She was really, really lucky. So Poppy's 50th match. Bearing in mind she's not even 3 yet, and her mum has given us total permission to talk about this. Poppy actually went to her 50th match, which was the League Cup final in Derby.
Mad.
That child has been to more football games than I have.
Mad.
But no, she was very, very lucky because of her dedication to the football and her mum's dedication to the football that they got invited down to do an Easter bunny hunt around the Joy.
Yeah.
And she was really lucky. She was paired up with Lily Murphy, who is amazing. We've been lucky to meet her, haven't we? And it was quite nice today because Poppy had a present for Lily and Charlie happened to be holding Poppy at the time. So Charlie was in that encounter as well. But no, if you haven't seen it, head over to the Joy's page and you'll be able to watch the video of her going around with these other 2 adorable little children who went around with Kiara and Alexandru. But if you need something to cheer you up on this gloomy Easter Sunday, that is what you need to do. But also, she was with us today when we saw Jill Scott, wasn't she? So we went to box this morning before the game, and Shelley and Jill were both there, and we were causing havoc between us all, weren't we? And Jill and Shelley were like, hi, and we were just thinking it was so nice. So thank you, Jill, as well. And we discovered that me and Jill actually now have a matching tattoo, because last time I saw Jill, she saw my Lucy Bronze tattoo. And this time I was like, Jill, I've got a new one. It's when the Lionesses won the Euros. And she was like, oh, I've got the same date. I went, does that mean we've got matching tattoos? And Charlie was like, oh, what are you doing? Why? But Jill thought it was cool. So it's all good. So we've had a week full of meeting legends, really. And it's been a brilliant week in terms of not losing a game for me. We'll see how you do next week. Next week's pod, we will have been at Unity before. City, I've got Leicester, but we are not making the journey down to Leicester. So we'll be at Mancunian and Unity.
I think as well, Arsenal men might have played PSG. I don't know if that's right.
Will it be during the week?
I don't know when it is. I think we might have a week off. Maybe.
Well, either way, Charlie's going to probably be upset over the football. So
be out of both competitions.
We need you to like, subscribe, comment, head over to our Instagram. If there's anything you ever want us to talk about on the podcast, please message us on Instagram or comment it on here. We're really open to suggestions. I normally do the itinerary on a Thursday, so if we could have everything by Thursday, that'd be amazing. And if you don't already follow our socials, follow us on Instagram, follow us on TikTok. We will also, just because we've mentioned them, we will put the Lost Lionesses up. We will also tag Nancy Baker and Poppy if everyone wants to go check out her adorable little Instagram. But thanks, guys.
See you in the next one.